Welcome to our project. I hope you like it, Mr. Weaver.
Yeah.
On to the show.
Yeah. In the beginning, God created man and woman in His image. They lived in peace with God until Satan came and tempted them away from God and into the hands of sin and evil.
Pain and suffering, even death entered the world. A few generations later, the world became so corrupt that God sent a worldwide flood to wipe out the people.
From the descendants of the survivors came a man named Abraham. God shined favor down upon him and made a covenant with him, stating, "He will have a great name, become a great nation. God will bless those who bless him and curse those who curse him, and all people will be blessed through him."
A few generations later, the now named Israelite people found themselves in Egypt. They ended up in slavery for about 400 years. During that time, a man named Moses arose. After being summoned by God through a burning bush, he went to tell Pharaoh to let my people go. After Pharaoh refused, God sent 10 plagues: water into blood, frogs, lice, flies, livestock pestilence, boils, hail, locusts, darkness, and the killing of the firstborn son. Pharaoh finally let them go, and they embarked on a journey to the Promised Land.
They soon arrived at Mount Sinai, and Moses went up through the lightning and the clouds to go see God at the top of the mountain. There he received stone tablets with the 10 Commandments on them. "You shall have no other gods but me. You shall not make for yourself any idol, nor bow down to it or worship it. You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God. You shall remember and keep the Sabbath day holy. Respect your father and mother. You must not murder. You must not commit adultery. You must not steal. You must not lie. You must not covet." They made their way towards the Promised Land, but when they got there, the Israelites became afraid of the current residents and did not want to enter. As a result, they wandered in the wilderness for 40 years. After that time was up, they entered the Promised Land and began to settle down and make their nation.
At first, they did not have a king over them, so the people complained. Because of this, God anointed Saul to be king. He was a warrior but wasn't loyal to God. After he turned his back on him, God anointed David as a new king. Not only did he become king, but God made a covenant with him as well. After him, his son Solomon became king. He was very wise, but his son Rehoboam was not, so the kingdom split into 2 nations, Israel and Judah.
A few hundred years after they split, the Assyrian Empire attacked Israel, and they took many into exile throughout their empire. After the Assyrians were conquered by the Babylonians, the new empire completely destroyed the nation of Judah and also took them into exile throughout the Babylonian Empire.
70 years later, the Babylonians were conquered by the Persians, who let any Israelite return home if wanted. Thousands of people returned, and when they did, they began to reconstruct the city and the temple.
They soon arrived at Mount Sinai, and Moses went up through the lightning and clouds to go see God at the top of the mountain. Then there are the commandments, and I don't know what they are because there's a blank screen.
What? Where is it?
I've been reading off a blank screen.
What did you do?
I don't know.
Oh my God, run.
Stone tablets with the 10 Commandments on them. "You shall have no other gods but me. You shall not make yourself any idol." Darn it! That's a good run through. We can't see.
You said y'all.
Y'all, this is Texas.
We're Texas.
Y'all sound like D-Day. We're Texans. We're Texans. I can't even do the Texas accent. Okay.
A few generations later, the now named Israelite people found themselves in Egypt. They embarked.
Okay, restart. Arrived at Mount
Where are you going?
I don't know! They soon arrived at Mount Sinai, and Moses... Really?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. soon arrived at Mount Sinai, and Moses went up through the light. The clouds go up to see God at the top of the mountain. And there he received stone tablets with the 10 dual commandments. You shall not have no other God. You shall not make for yourself any idol.
It's the 10 dual commandments.
You shall not minister the name of the Lord your God.
The 10 dual commandments.
Shall remember and keep the Sabbath day holy.
The 10 dual commandments.
Respect your father and mother. You must not murder.
The 10 dual commandments. We're so sick of crimes.
I can't. Okay, I need a break. I can't. Okay, goodbye.